We also have to put up there, and this is a little bit of a topic, but is there a term for a player who is neither a bust nor a star that goes first overall?
So Deandre Ayton.
Yes, this is called the Deandre Ayton poll.
Okay. Because I think he's going to be a free agent. He was number one pick, but he was also number one pick in the draft that gave us Luka and Trae Young as well. But Deandre Ayton, he went to the University of Arizona, and the owner at the time, I think Robert Sarver, thought, let's keep the local talent in Arizona, not thinking that maybe we get a generational talent or a worldwide talent. But not everybody knew about Luka. And let's be fair about this. That I watched highlights of him in Europe, and I just thought that he was barely getting by people, barely getting his shot off. And then I realized that's what he does in the NBA. He barely gets by you, barely gets his shot off, but he does it every single time. Trae Young, I thought was going to be a thing. I thought that he would be a guy who could be a specialist. Turned out that he's a really good passer as well. But DeAndre Ayton, I don't think he's bad enough to be a bust, but I don't think he's good enough to be one of those guys that you look and say he was worthy of the number one pick. Yes, Paulie.
He's been in the league, DeAndre Ayton, for 7 years. He averages about 14 and 10. He's had the best season was his second year. He averaged 18 and 11. He has never made an all-star team in 7 years.
I don't think he's going to make an all-star
No,
team.
so we know what we know about his career.
Yes.
We need a term. Disappointing? That almost seems harsh. Unfulfilled?
Yeah, you could do that. Like we're looking for one word.
Yeah, not a bust, nor a star.
All right. Yes, Eaton.
When you look at number one overall picks for years and years and years surrounding that one, he's doing pretty well compared to everybody else. He's significantly more successful than a lot of dudes that went number one overall.
It's a lot of times it's just like Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. You know, that Ryan Leaf was viewed a bust. He was never going to, and it made it worse because Peyton was one of the greats of all time. So sometimes Sam Bowie, not his fault, but he was injury prone. And, they ended up taking Sam Bowie in Portland. Michael Jordan was in the draft. So I think that has to do with how we look at you of we could have had him. And Ayton is serviceable. I could see him playing for the Lakers. But I don't know if serviceable is, I don't know. Hey, how would you describe his talents? Serviceable? Yeah, Paulie.
Also in that draft with DeAndre Ayton, Luka, Trae Young, as you said, SGA, and Jalen Brunson were in that draft.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that doesn't help in how we look at you. But if you said, hey, this guy's going to average 16 and 10 for his career, and he's the number one overall pick, I'm good. If he was like the 8th pick in the draft, you'd go, hey, wow, all right, 16-10, that's good. Yes, Mark.
See, he needed to be in the Anthony Bennett draft. There was nobody in that draft. And they'd be like, man, good career by him.
Yeah. Cavs would have had a good guy, good player. 16 and 10.
Serviceable.
Yes. You'll take it. I don't know what the ceiling was. When you say unfulfilled because he's the number one pick, or was he a guy that people thought, man, this guy is going to be... I thought Jaren Jackson Jr. III was going to be great. And he's really good, but I thought he was going to be great. That he could play defense, offense, he could shoot, he had range, block shot, all those things. But he was in that draft too, wasn't he, Marvin? Jaren Jackson Jr. III, did he go like third?
Twas.
All right, yeah. All right. So I don't know if we look at the ceiling and then go, like, how high is the ceiling for DeAndre Ayton? And if he's that good, why is he on the move again? Yes, Marvin.
Because he's just serviceable.
Okay.
He's not a franchise changer. And I think that's the issue. They were thinking about the old school days of the 90s. We need a dominant big man. Yeah. And you had Trae Young and Luka right there. But to your defense, nobody knew Luka.
Nobody. Yeah, Paulie.
We need a comp in another sport. A player who was taken number 1 overall, probably a quarterback, who didn't have a bad career, just never really paid off.
Okay.
Sam Bradford?
Serviceable?
I don't think he made a Pro Bowl.
Okay. He made a lot of money.
Yes, he did. So did Deandre Ayton.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford might be it.
Hmm.
Because Jameis Winston's been a bit of a disappointment, but he had some decent years. I'd say more of a disappointment for Jameis as the number 1 pick.
But wasn't he the first member of the 30-30 club?
Which you don't want to be in.
No, you don't want to be in that 30-30. Yes, Eaton.
Baseball doesn't really have this conversation because you don't know anybody until it's like, all right, let's see if that $450 million is worth it. That's going to be tricky, but there aren't really busts or anything.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back and you go number 1 pick in the draft, it's because the number 1 pick normally doesn't go right into Major League Baseball.
We get 10 of these dudes in the NFL and the NBA. We get 1 million of these dudes a year. Then you don't even have to be the number 1 overall pick.
But I think we focus on the number 1 pick in hockey probably more than we do in baseball because it feels like those players are generational talents. And chances are they're going to be playing in the NHL right away. Yes, Paulie.
One that stands out, 2009, we covered him a lot, Steven Strasburg out of San Diego State. He was supposed to be it. In this last 20 years, he was the most, before Skeens, the most publicized pitcher going into the league. He had a good career, 113-62. He made 3 All-Star teams, never won a Cy Young.
Oh, he did win over 100 games.
Yeah, I got him he pitched 13 years, 113 wins. He had a couple of good seasons with over 15 wins, 113-62, 3 All-Star appearances.
I remember, and I liken Steven Strasburg to Jadeveon Clowney with the hype, because I remember John Smoltz was talking, his first game he did in the minor leagues, Steven Strasburg. I remember Smoltz was talking about, had these glowing reviews, like he was the perfect pitcher. He was the perfect pitcher. Jadeveon Clowney, oh my gosh, we've never seen this before. When the mothership went out to his pro day. And there's no perfect player. There are times when we look at somebody and you can't miss. Well, you can miss. We've seen that happen. And Steven Strasburg was just like Mark Pryor. Mark Pryor was the perfect pitcher. Now the Dodgers pitching coach. You had experts who were looking at him and his form, everything about him. It was great. He's going to be dominating. Well, he wasn't. Overused with the Cubs, with Kerry Wood, and never really reached that potential that people had for him. But when it comes to number 1 pick in the draft in baseball, I don't think that we even remember. Like that guy was ninth round draft. Albert Pujols, what was he, 13th round draft pick? We just don't think about it that way. Or it feels like you're giving away the future of your team because maybe you missed on the number 1 pick in the draft. In football or in basketball, that certainly is the feeling. Yes, Marvin.
I don't know much about hockey, but I do remember this name when I was young about him being the next guy, Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
I think he was the number 1 pick overall, and they talked about him like crazy.
Well, he had concussions, and he wasn't able to live up to the hype. He was supposed to be like, that's the new hockey player. He's big and he's fast, powerful. Not quite Lemieux, but that feeling of, wow, he's different.